literally, why did it take you getting pregnant to not do a show sober before? So like that was like a big eye opener for me. Feels good to be back. It feels good to be back, fam. Welcome back to Rave Culture Cast, your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more. I'm your host, Emma Capotis, and damn, does it feel good to say that. I've been saying that now for 6 seasons, which is crazy. But if any of you are just clicking on the podcast, first off, welcome to our family. Second off, things have been a little bit different around here. I took my first long break from the podcast in the history of its existence since 2019, but I'm just coming back from my maternity leave, which it just feels good to be like feel more like myself and be back in a rhythm. And I was going to start the podcast fresh in the new year, but we do some annual episodes here at the end of every year that are too much fun to work on. So I'm kicking things off in December because it just felt right. So I'm super excited to dive into things. If you guys didn't notice or couldn't tell, we have brand new equipment, which is super exciting. So I just wanted to say that because I'm upgrading a lot of things next year. And like I said, I've been doing this podcast since 2019. I've been a content creator since 2017. And I wanted to invest a ton in upgrading the quality and content for you in the new year. So I have a brand new camera. I've been looking for cameras for a year now and doing my research. So brand new Sony camera, brand new professional podcasting microphone. Like this shit is so elevated. I'm so fucking excited about it. I hope you enjoy the quality. And yeah, I just want to get that out of the way because if you guys have been here for a while, we've come a long way since the podcast was filmed in my bedroom in my apartment. So it's been a while, but that is exciting. What else do we have going on? Our Instagram has popped off, which is crazy. If you guys follow us over there at Rave Culture Cast, I kind of switched things up a little bit because I was out on maternity leave and I had no new content. So I've kind of turned that page into, sharing my favorite rave videos I see around the internet. And then it's also going to be podcast clips now that this is back. But if you haven't already connected with us, we are at Rave Culture Cast on all of the platforms. We've got an amazing Facebook group community and a Discord and all that stuff. So if you aren't already in them, definitely check them out below. I'm going to kick things off here with a brand new segment, which was voted on by our Facebook group family. So I asked you guys about different segments you wanted to see in the podcast, and we landed on the Amnesty bin. So what this is it is an anonymous submission where our listeners drop off a rave confession that I will then take with me to the rave grave. I'm going to share it here with all of you, but the listener will remain anonymous. So you can email in your rave confessions to me, raveculturecast@gmail.com. That is our email, raveculturecast@gmail.com. Any submissions, anything you want to drop off, Amnesty bin, leave it there. It will stay with me. So the first submission we got anonymously was, I love raving alone, but I get so jealous seeing people's rave fams and wish I had one, which I felt like was a touching one to start with because, sometimes the grass can look a lot greener on the other side, and I'm sure other people can relate to this and feel the same way, but yeah, when you are always doing things solo, it can look really nice to see people with these huge rave groups and big rave families. But all I will say is that doesn't mean that it will always be that way for you. You're not alone in feeling that way, and you never know if you kind of like put yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, go up to people, try and make some new friends, try and interact with people. You never know like who you'll meet or, meet people through the internet as well. So don't be too jealous of other rave fams. Like yours is coming and you'll find the people that you connect with the most. But I feel you, and I will hold your secret dear to my heart, you guys. So if you have your own confessions, please email them in to raveculturecast@gmail.com. I've got a couple lined up that are raunchy as hell. So they can be completely rated R, guys. You don't have to hold back, like pop off with the Amnesty bin. All right, let's dive into today's episode because I've got a ton in store for you. I'm going to talk a little bit about what would inspire this episode and then share my own experiences. And then I have so many listener submissions that I really want to get into, your emails. So that is what we have lined up today. So today's episode is all about raving sober, which I'm surprised I haven't covered this yet. I think I might have touched on this topic like within other episodes, but I've never done a fully dedicated episode about choosing to rave sober and the benefits of that. And I think sobriety is something that is growing a lot in popularity. I personally have a lot of friends who are completely sober from any substances. And I feel like a lot with this scene as well, substance use can be glorified or it's heavily correlated with the rave scene. If you go on like TikTok and type in like rave TikTok or something, I feel like some of the top results are like drug related posts. So it's just like heavily correlated with our scene, but it's not talked about enough about how many people do choose to be sober. And so many of you guys have reached out to me and shared your stories. And so I wanted to talk about like the other side of things because especially going into the new year, it's dry January. Some of you might be experimenting with, removing alcohol from your diet, different things like that. And again, just wanting to like try something different for yourself, whether it be for health benefits or for other reasons. So I wanted to really dive into this episode today. And then talk about my experience because like I mentioned, I was pregnant for the majority of 2023. So from January through August, obviously did not have any alcohol. I think I had my first drink maybe the end of September. And even now, like I'm very barely drinking and obviously no other substances. So I did my first shows and festivals this year like dead sober, like completely 100%, and that was like such an eye-opening experience. So I wrote down a list of the things that I noticed were different at shows and some of the realizations I had, and I just want to talk about those because I think it's like really important to mention both sides of things and just keep it super fucking real with you guys as I always do. So that's kind of what we're gonna do. Then I'm going to read our listener submissions. Like I mentioned, I read through all of your emails and some of them were just so inspiring to read. You guys have such great perspectives on this topic. And again, I'm going to like put my hand up. The fact that I had to literally be pregnant to do some of my first shows sober was just eye-opening for me to be like, why is alcohol a crutch? Like, why do you need to like have something at a show? Like literally, why did it take you getting pregnant to not do a show sober before? So like that was like a big eye opener for me. And then reading your submissions, like you guys, some of you have been sober for years, like your perspectives are so much more, interesting and important. So I wanted to definitely touch on all of those as well. So that's kind of everything for now. I do want to mention as well, because this kind of like is an added layer for me personally. I work for an alcohol company. So it's kind of like hard to, I don't even know, like it's an alcohol that's obviously like very present in the festival scene. I work for Beatbox Beverages, and I obviously like love beatbox and love to drink it. I love to drink it at festivals. So it adds even like a layer to me talking about this because it's like you work for an alcohol company that literally is heavily involved in the festival scene. So like, how are you going to try to juggle doing some shows sober, which I'm not saying. I want to make this very clear. I am not sober right now. I do drink occasionally, and I probably will be drinking at upcoming shows and festivals. I'm not personally at this point in my life choosing to be 100% sober. That's just my choice. But I did just want to like talk about this past year and talk about your guys' experiences. But I did want to say that because I don't want you guys to come out of this episode and be like, and she's still drinking. Like I definitely missed having my glass of wine while I was pregnant and other things. So I'm not sober now, and I just want to make that clear. But I just have noticed a lot of things like in this past year, and just as you grow up in general, I feel like the way you approach this scene, the way you choose to attend events, like the way I partied when I was like 21 going to my first rave versus now is very different. Like my intentions are different, my experience is different, my priorities, like all of that has shifted. So, we might all be coming at this episode from a completely different perspective, but even if you're like, in your early 20s and you're partying a lot right now, like maybe this is a good thing to hear at this point. I also wanted to stress that everyone's definition of sober can be very different. I have friends who are like, oh yeah, I was sober last night. I only did 1 tab of acid. And it's like, that's not, that's not entirely sober, my friend. So the sober I'm talking about today is, 100% no substances of any kind, no alcohol, nothing. So let's just dive into my experiences and then we'll get into yours, you guys. So my first experience with no substances, like I mentioned, this past year, I went to 2 festivals. So I went to Okeechobee in March and I went to Project Glow in April. And then I did 3 shows. I did Tin Liquor in February, Seven Lions and Dom Dalla were both in May. So those were all of the things that I did this year. And here are some of the things that I noticed. But really quickly, I need to share a message from one of our brand partners, Lunchbox. So you guys, this is the perfect time of year to upgrade your festival accessories and to invest in an anti-theft hydration pack, which Lunchbox is my absolute favorite. It's the only hydration pack I've used since 2019. Never had any items stolen from me, nothing. It's fantastic. I could go on and on about the features. Like the bladder refill system is so fucking easy. I'm obsessed with it. We've got mesh phone pocket in the front, which is great. So your phone's always in front of you, like zipper clips to keep your stuff safe, skins that you can zip on and off the front to customize it, like endless ways to customize your pack, keep your belongings safe, and stay hydrated at events. So I'm a huge fan. I talk about it all the time. Absolutely love working with Lunchbox. But not only did we have amazing Black Friday deals, which if you slept on that, don't worry, because right now the hydration packs from today through January 31st, they're discounted from $129 to $109. And if you guys use my code, it's my last name, Kapotes, Kapotes, you can get $15 off any orders $109 or over. So if you guys buy the hydration pack and use my code Kapotes, you'll get $15 off your order. I highly recommend grabbing a different skin as well so you can customize your pack to match your outfits. I have external battery packs from them. I also have the snack and sling pack, which are essentially like their fanny pack and a hybrid pack that holds a water bottle. I use those at all my shows. So the entire suite is fantastic, but right now, Lunchbox's hydration packs, again, discounted to $109 through January 31st, and my code Kapotes will save you $15 off $109 orders. There we go, through that date. So had to shout them out. I will link them down below if you guys want to pick anything up. Appreciate you guys doing that. All right, with that being said, let's dive in. So what we noticed this past year, and I took notes back in March when I was at Okeechobee because again, I was 15 weeks pregnant at the time. Hadn't talked about it publicly, so only my friend and a couple people really knew. And some of the things I'll say right off the bat, I felt way more present. Obviously, without any substances in the mix, your mind is clear. You're able to focus on the things in front of you. I was able to, remember everything, which is another point that I have, but I just felt really present in the moment. The days felt longer to me. The nights felt longer to me. It wasn't just flying by in a second. I was enjoying all the conversations I had, meeting people in person, all of that shit just felt really, really present. So I really enjoyed that about it. I also I enjoyed the sets more, and this can go either way. I'm not gonna lie to you, I've had some amazing fucking sets when I've, been under the influence before. Yes, that can enhance an experience here and there, and, to each their own. I'm not here to judge. But there were some sets that, again, I vividly remember the moments and the people I was with, and just enjoying it. Fully being sober was just so nice. And then you're just on this natural high of life, not induced by anything else, also not inhibited by anything else. You're just fully with it and present, and you're feeling the music more. There were so many beautiful moments, especially at Okeechobee. Like I said, Odessa, Tin Liquor, I hold such fond memories of those sets, and I remember them clearly as well. So I really, really was able to focus more on the music, and I wasn't distracted by any other thoughts in my head or things going on, external influences, things like that. So I really was fully into the music. I felt like I could judge the sets more too, you know what I mean? I knew if a set was good or bad as well, because I didn't have anything enhancing it for me. Another huge plus, this was big for me at Okeechobee because it was a camping festival. I slept so much fucking better, and I slept more, period, regardless of being pregnant. So, I obviously was tired more earlier in the night, but that could have been for me literally being 15 weeks pregnant, but also just, you don't have anything keeping you awake. You don't have like substances that are making you super energized. Like, yes, I was drinking coffee, but I didn't drink any energy drinks while I was pregnant. And one thing that, my friend Lexi and I did, I think like most of the nights we ended up like going back to the tent by 1:30, which is pretty early for a festival, I would say. I think Okeechobee music ended at 3 a.m. anyway. And then the Jungle 51 stage went to like 6 in the morning, but I was in bed at like not that bad of a time, and I was still waking up there at like 8 a.m. or 8:30, and I woke up fucking refreshed. Like it was so eye-opening for me at Okeechobee. I'm going to get into more of it, but I just like, I felt so refreshed. I wasn't feeling shitty the next day. I felt great. I was hydrated. My body didn't hurt that bad. I didn't have like muddy thoughts in the morning. I was getting great quality sleep, and the difference that made over a 4-day camping festival compared to like shit I've done to my body in the past was like night and day. So that in itself, I was like, wow, this feels great to like put my head down, sleep really well, wake up in the morning. And then on top of that, I got to do more activities and participate in things and be fully present because I felt so refreshed. So again, I was waking up bright and early, so I was able to kind of like walk around before a lot of people were awake. I went and did a yoga session, which I've never at a camping festival really like been awake enough in the morning to participate in those morning activities. I got to walk around. I went and got my tarot cards read. I did a human design reading. Like I had time in the morning and I felt great. And I just like walked around and enjoyed more of the activities and like different things that they offered at the campgrounds because I was awake and felt so much better in the morning. And like even that alone, I was like, wow, this just like enhanced my experience overall, because now I'm like getting to enjoy things like outside of the music, and I'm not just here at night like just trying to get like fucked up and that's it. So really wanted to emphasize that because I was so like relaxed and like felt so good. My body felt good after doing that yoga in the morning. Like it just was a great experience overall. So that like physically was really, really wonderful. I want to more alert in emergency situations is my next point. So this is a really, really big one. And I've talked a lot on the podcast. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the universe just being like, you needed to be there or you were like the right person to be there at the right time. But I've dealt with a couple emergency situations in the past year that I was a part of where I was able to help somebody, which was like, obviously meant the world to me that I could have like helped somebody or save a life or been there when somebody really needed something. And same thing, like it was one night, it was the last night of Okeechobee, and I was going back to my tent by myself, again, totally sober. And there was a situation where a man was like lying unconscious on the ground, and I was able to run and get the VIP concierge and security to come over and help this man. And again, I'm like, if I wasn't right in the head, like if I was under the influence, if I hadn't been there at that time, so many different situations. So when your mind is clear, you're able to respond to those situations so much better. And the same thing happened at Electric Forest in 2022. There was an overdose situation that happened in front of us, and I was able, like I had been drinking that night, but not like anything crazy. So I was able to like respond to the situation and think really quickly. So I think just like, it's the world we live in right now. Like we had some incidents this past year at music festivals that were obviously tragic. And I think being sober and being able to be alert and think clearly and respond quickly in emergency situations is like something that, can be really, really beneficial. And it is something just to think about. So that is one thing that's a huge pro. This is another thing on the flip side. My friend Lexi and I talked about in the Okeechobee episode last year. I've noticed this in the past, but not to the extent that I did. And you guys will understand where I'm coming from with this one. When you are completely sober, you are very aware of people on drugs or other substances. Like it just becomes abundantly clear how fucked up people are around you. And like I said, at Okeechobee, there were just like some times in some sets where like people were just like so gone out of their minds that I was like, are you even enjoying the set? Like, do you even know what's going on here? And for some people, that's how they want to be, and that's like, again, totally your choice. But there were just like so many people who were like zooted out of their minds, like laying on chillbo couches, like not even looking at the stage, like either sleeping, passed out, I don't know what's going on, but you just become like really, really aware. And it like rubbed both of us the wrong way a little bit, because we were like, the scene has just gotten to that point with some people where they need to be like that fucked up to be enjoying themselves. And that was kind of like a damper on a couple of the sets that we experienced. So that's the other thing. And again, like, I'm not going to judge any of you. Like, there are people around me, and I'm totally a rave mom. I'm going to help your experience or your trip any way you need. If I can give you toys, water, like whatever you need to make your time better, I'm going to do that for you. But it just, becomes very, very clear when you're trying to have conversations or, enjoy your experience, and like everyone around you is out of their mind. It's just like kind of like affects your experience as well in a way. And again, that can be good or bad. It just depends on the crowd that you're in. But yeah, it's just like, it was very eye-opening to see how many people were under the influence at some of these festivals. So that's just something to put out there, especially like if you work in the scene. That's just something I keep in mind, especially at like, industry events and stuff like that. Moving forward, I'm like, how do you want to come off to coworkers and people that you work with or interact with in the scene? How is that going to come off if you're like under the influence when you're interacting with people? So it's just like something to think about. I kind of touched on this one a little bit before, but having clear conversations that you remember the next day. I don't know if any of you guys relate to this one as well, but excuse me. Sorry, I'm leaving all this in, by the way, guys. A new thing in the new year is I'm really not going to edit this episode that much. But anyway, like when you get that feeling the next morning and you're like, what the fuck did I say last night? Or like, did I embarrass myself? Do you know that feeling? I feel like I had too many of those mornings where I was like, oh my God, like, why did I say that? Like, why the fuck did I do that? Particularly, my friends will never let me forget it. At like Carl Cox's set at ARC Music Festival, I just kept yelling at everyone, you love Cox or something like that. And they have it on video. And the morning after, I'm like, oh my God, Emma. So yeah, you get what I'm saying with that one. That doesn't happen as often, okay? You have control over what you're saying and how you're behaving. So that could be a pro or a con. This one is a big one. Having a great night is not dependent on how good your drugs are. This is a huge thing. If you're sober, you're having a good night no matter what. You're in control of your destiny. You are fully present. You're able to choose your journey. I didn't have anything affecting me. I was able to just like be present, enjoy, have great conversations, feel good, go to bed on time. When you're taking substances, there's a feeling of anticipation of when that happens. And then there's also this sensation of, okay, how is it going to go? How strong are they going to be? Am I going to feel it? When is it going to kick in? What if it isn't good? Now is my night ruined? Like all these other things come up and are dependent on your substances, and that can completely ruin your night. And then it's like, is your entire festival night literally ruined because you're just like waiting for your stuff to hit, or they didn't hit as good as you thought, and now that's a night ruined for you? Like, why is that determining how good of a time you have? And I know so many of you have been in those instances. Like, it's just not the way to go about it. And I personally no longer want to have those feelings of like a night is dependent on this or that. Like, being sober, I was not worried about any of those things. I just knew I was going to have a great time and didn't have to depend on something to carry it through for me throughout the night. So I think, like, looking back on times like earlier in my rave career where I've been in situations where substances have been lost and your whole fucking night is ruined, or again, like you thought you were going to feel something and you're not. And it literally ruined shows and raves that I went to. And I look back at it now and I'm like, you literally were at your favorite artist's set and weren't having a good time because something wasn't feeling the way you thought it was going to feel. Stupid. It's stupid. It really is. It's crazy. So not having that crutch or like having to worry about that was like the best feeling ever. So that's just like something to think about for you guys, because I never want that to be something that determines whether or not like you're having a good time. And then the last few things that I noticed, like I mentioned, I participated in activities, which was so much fun because I had enough energy to do so. I was awake enough in the morning to, enjoy and recover way fucking better afterwards. And then lastly, felt better overall, less recovery after festivals. I didn't need to like sleep for a week to recover. I didn't get like that wook flu feeling after either of those festivals. Like overall, it was just so much better for my health, for my recovery. And it's just like something, again, that I want to carry into the 2024 season and keep up with as much as possible, especially because I know like I probably will be having drinks. So like, how can I still do that? Even if it's just like a little, like how can I not go overboard essentially? And like maybe I'll have a drink, but I won't go like fucking bananas with it. You know what I mean? So another quick thing I wanted to mention before we dive into our listener submissions is having a sober friend can also be a tremendous help. I've been in situations like this too where, whatever your friends are participating, if you have somebody who's like the sober rave mom or rave dad, that can also be extremely helpful in so many different scenarios. So even if it's not you or if it's a friend, maybe you partake one night and you're sober like the whole rest of the festival, like that might be something that you want to explore. And I definitely encourage you guys to do so. But it's just something to mention, because even if you are the sober person for your friends, like that can be really, really helpful. That can avoid so many different situations of like emergencies, issues, bad trips, like all of that. So being sober, you don't have to worry about any of that happening to you because you're not partaking in any of those substances. So you can help your friends out. You can respond in, like I mentioned, in emergency situations. So probably so much more I can go into here, you guys, but I really want to get into your submissions because you sent so much. Really quickly, though, I want to plug some New Year's Eve festival tickets that I've got for you guys. So I have Countdown New Year's Eve, if any of you guys are going. If you need tickets still, definitely feel free to use my affiliate link down below. I also have the Together as One festival, both through Insomniac. So Countdown New Year's Eve, Together as One festival. If you guys want tickets, feel free. I also have Beyond Wonderland SoCal. I just got tickets for that too. So feel free to use my affiliate links. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for doing so. Alrighty, let's get into our listener stories and questions. These were so good, by the way. These are going to be a little bit longer, so just like strap in here. So this first one says, "Hi Emma, I go by Plant Raver on social media. I'm a 31-year-old raver who's been in the scene since 2013 and have done it all. I went through a drinking phase when I started raving, and I still sometimes partake in party favors responsibly. And lately, this year to be exact, have been going to events sober. I'm effectively California sober, and even with that, I am not the proverbial zonked out on the couch type of gal. I personally think that raving what is sober is wonderful and absolutely a much better experience looking back now. Maybe it's my age and growing up, but I honestly don't gravitate towards many substances anymore because I don't like how they make me feel. I feel disconnected from the people around me, the music I'm listening to, the places I'm at, and it can cause you to feel paranoid, upset, sick, or unsteady. I've been sick to the point of throwing up during my favorite set. I've been worried about how my body was handling a substance while I'm supposed to be laughing and dancing with my friends. I've forgotten who's set and nights felt like a blur. That's a really upsetting feeling, knowing how much money we spend to be here at these events. I hated having to tell people, man, I don't remember that set when they asked how the show was. And if you're a content creator, there's just really no good time for any of that. You have to be on your A game. I realized that I wanted to value my experience from start to finish with a few hours of mind-numbing bliss. I also had the same fear I think a lot of people have. Will people think I'm lame for being sober? Will it be fun without the alcohol or party favors? And the answer is yes. It is fun without them still, and that's how I know I love this scene. It's not about being fucked up to me, and surprisingly, a lot of people are not as unfriendly when you say you're a sober raver. There's a whole movement for it now. Yes, there is. With everything going on in the scene with fentanyl and how scary overdoses are, I think taking a step back from party favors is learning to follow safe practices or learning to follow safe practices at the very least, like testing your substances is the move. Sober raving is going to continue to take off, and I'm happy to see it. I love having people ask me, is there space for this here? And being able to firmly say yes. and also feel sad at the same time when people say, oh, I don't do drugs, so I don't go to those things. We have to change the outlook and reputation that Raving gets. It's never about the party favors or drinking copious amounts of alcohol. Hope you're doing well with and raising your new baby. Glad to see you making podcasts, Caitlin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Could not agree with you more. There is a huge movement for this right now. And all the sentiments you said about just like being in this for the love of it and not needing those other things as crutches, could not agree with that more as well. If that's the only reason you're going, if that's the only thing you need to attend these events, it's something to think about. Okay, this one's from Ashley. It says, I got to attend my first camping festival without my partner and just a group of girlfriends. During this time, I had already stopped drinking for a little over a month. I just never liked the feeling of the day after, constantly needing to pee, and it costs a lot to keep a buzz going. All great points I didn't mention yet. Because of all these factors, I decided I would go to Base Canyon sober, and it was one of the best experiences ever. A few Red Bulls each day to keep me going and fully present with both myself and my friends. I even went out venturing on my own to meet new people without that feeling of anxiety or searching for a safe, sober person should I find myself in a panic attack because of some substance I would normally be on. This is the first festival where I didn't get the WOOC flu, and I very much think it has to do with the fact that I was able to listen to what my body needs when they occur, and I was taking daily vitamins such as milk thistle, magnesium, St. John's wort, and eating regularly. Highly recommend at least giving it a chance, maybe one day during a festival. It's a great experience. Cannot wait for this episode to come out. Hope you feature it. Yeah, those are all great points. I think to your point also, you do just take better care of your body when you're in the, right frame of mind. Like, you remember to go to the bathroom, you remember to drink water, you remember to eat full meals. Like, a lot of the times when you're on substances, you don't need to do some of those things, and so it can just be easy to forget. Okay, this one's from Tara. It says, personally, I've only gone to one raver festival that I was not fully sober, and I could tell a difference. I have been going to EDC Las Vegas, Nocturnal, Crush, and Hard Summer, and everyone except for Hard, I was fully sober. Sobriety at raves and festivals for me helps me to completely let go and release from my day-to-day stress. I'm a mom of 2 beautiful tiny humans, and sobriety allows me to appreciate where I'm at and how I'm feeling without suppressing. The most recent one I went to after having my babies was Hard Summer, just with my husband and only one day. But I had a couple of drinks for a nice relaxing buzz. It was so hot that honestly wasn't the best idea. But what I really noticed was my crowd anxiety. When I am sober, I don't have crowd anxiety. It was manageable, but this was manageable but noticeable. And my post-festival blues were out of this world, which I didn't experience when I was sober at other events I've gone to. I hope that makes sense. It makes total sense. Your experience changes depending on whether or not you're introducing substances into the equation. This next one says, hello, my name is Lindsay. I'm 34 years old and I have been attending raves and festivals since 2014. I just wanted to share my reason for why I party sober. In all honesty, drugs scare me. I have always heard of ecstasy, Molly, or MDMA, but never tried it. I knew those were party drugs, but wasn't too interested in finding what those were like. After attending my first couple events, I remember coming across an article online that reported how many deaths there were related to one particular event that I had just been to, and my heart broke. Thinking of all the families whose loved ones didn't come home after a show, the pain and confusion they must feel as why this happened to their family member, no amount of high or blissful feeling is worth giving up your life. I know there are many test kits available, but I personally would rather not use drugs in general. I truly love EDM and dancing my heart out, and I'm perfectly happy to do so sober. Plus, I'm usually the designated driver and I want to get myself and friends home safely. It's really sad to see so many people who need medical attention at raves when we were all just trying to have a good time. Things can turn very, very scary very quickly. So now anytime I go to an event and see a paramedic or ground control going in to help someone, I say a quick prayer for that person. That's so lovely. I don't know their life or their whole story, but I pray they're protected and they make it home safely. Thank you so much, Lindsay. That literally warms my heart. And that's the ultimate reason not to do any of these things is you are completely protecting yourself and your health because you don't know what is in substances at this point, even if you test. And that is literally the risk you take every time. So it's the ultimate reason to be sober, and that it's beautiful that you say a prayer for people every time, as I've been involved in those situations too. And it's fucking terrifying. So sending you all my best, Lindsay. Okay, this next one is a special one. This one is from Vibe with Aid, who is a huge source of inspiration. She has been sober for over a year now, and it's been amazing to see her journey and dedication to it. It's incredible. So definitely follow along with her if you guys aren't already. So she said, "Hey Emma, I get a lot of questions about my sober journey, and as I'm writing this, I'm officially 500 days sober from alcohol. Amazing. It truly has been the best thing for me and the most rewarding journey. For a little more context, alcohol has always been a struggle point for me since my early 20s and college. Adjusting to adulting and being in my mid-20s, it was still a struggle for me to find that balance. I wasn't drinking all the time, but when I did drink, I didn't know my limit. Even Emma witnessed a low moment for me at Imagine where I didn't remember the last half of the first day." I was there. Definitely a scary moment for Aid. The turning point for me was after a house show in 2022, which was the weekend before my 27th birthday, and I was awfully hungover for 2 days straight. I really asked myself if this is how I wanted to be living. As a coach and a content creator, I questioned if I really wanted to lead by example with others with alcohol in the picture. I started playing around with sober curiosity, and it really allowed me to reflect on why I drank and what it really did for me. I noticed that I was drinking to betray an image that wasn't really me and to feel less awkward with who I was, so I would be more social with others. I ended up going to EDC and Electric Forest shortly after and did not drink at all. At Electric Forest, our group, including Emma, witnessed a scary medical situation that really confirmed for me that I didn't need alcohol in my life moving forward. I share all of this in case you might have some similarities with your relationship with alcohol. Since then, I've become more sure and confident in myself and who I am living without alcohol. I found that once you get past 3 weeks without it, it becomes much easier. I really don't even think about alcohol or crave it. I recommend taking some space from going out for those 3 weeks so you can really feel the effects of living without alcohol. Use this time to question the relationship you had with it and take the time to learn more about who you are without it. Then you can add in social activities and play around with substitutes like mocktails to get you by. I found having other options to drink makes it a lot easier, as well as finding other sober buddies or friends who are supportive of your journey, even if they continue to drink. I do have some struggle points sometimes when life gets hard, but finding other outlets and leaning on support systems can be beneficial. Nonetheless, a lot of people think that by giving up something you're missing out, but the reality is you are making space for so much more. Hangover-free weekends, mental clarity, relaxed nervous system, self-acceptance, the list goes on and on for me. I don't know if I'll be sober forever. I may introduce it back. However, I know I'll have way more intention and control if I ever were to drink again. Hope this helps anyone, and my DMs are open for support. I'll eventually have more content surrounding this topic in the future. Love and miss you so much, Emma. Vibes from Aid. Beautifully written, and it's something to reflect on for sure, you guys. If you're like Aid or, in a situation similarly, I think, again, she was amazing and identified some issues with it herself and then was able to kind of adapt and over time go 500 days without drinking alcohol, which is insane. One thing she touched on that I didn't really get into too much, but another thing I noticed when I was pregnant, obviously, so I dabbled in mocktails, of course, and just being in social situations, not even festivals or raves, but obviously huge pros, which was mentioned in an earlier email, was your budget. The amount of money you spend on alcohol at shows is fucking crazy and adds up on a night out. So not having to drink is not only great for your bank account and your health as well, but it's just an absolutely fantastic option to go, especially if you're watching your budget. And then the other thing is, again, just being around people. I was in so many situations where people were drinking and I wasn't, and you can just see people get progressively drunker. You see how it changes their character. You see how it changes the things they say and how they interact, and you observe so much more. So again, I feel just watching other people, it made me be am I this way when I drink? Is this how I come off? Is this embarrassing? There were just different situations where I'm okay, it can definitely help to be sober in a situation because you don't even realize how you're coming off to other people. So I think I took away from it too, being able to do things intentionally, or even so far the moments I've drank, I've had one beer or one glass of wine. I really haven't done anything more than that, and I've been able to control the amount that I have in one sitting. So that can be helpful as well. Even if you can kind of pare back a little bit and just not overdo it anymore, I think that can be something that's great for yourself. Okay, the next submission says, "Hi, Emma. I'm Rick from Lacey, Washington, and I am a sober raver. A little background about myself. I'm 36 years old now, but 5 years ago, a long-lost friend I had from high school hit me up in March to go to a St. Patrick's Day event. She said, 'Wear something green, and I got your ticket.' I was like, cool, sounds fun. The night was filled with so much chaos, but it ended with me getting to see Galantis for the first time. Needless to say, I was hooked forever later in the scene. I got a friend who partook in party favors at shows, which is great for them, but I always say, as long as you know your limits, awesome, have fun, but they start to wonder why I wouldn't join in. It was weird to say, but after a while, I started recalling shows, sets, songs, and experiences that my rave group didn't. We were at the same shows, saw the same set, had awesome experiences, but one thing stood out. I remembered everything, and they just couldn't. It kind of made me sad that they would always say, 'I assure you I had a great time.' So years went by, and now I'm the only one left on this journey I started 5 years ago. The rave fam has fallen off due to many different reasons, none bad, I promise, but I do it sober, mostly for myself, to remember the amazing experiences, and also I'm a huge plur advocate, and I love trading candy. I look at pieces given to me, and boom, I'm snapped back to that event, and all the memories come back. I still get the 'how do you dance 6+ hours sober, Rick?' And to that I say, it's definitely not easy, but something inside me just sinks into the mindset with the music and the people and the atmosphere that most people might not get. I've heard so many interesting stories online and in passing during shows. I'm writing a book. That's awesome. I didn't party in my younger years, and I think I'm appreciating what I do now in my 30s, and I want to look back and remember and say, it's unfortunate that some can't, and yes, we have phones to record stuff to jog your memory, but that intimate setting of you and the DJ and the song coming on, and every word, every drop in the song, you heart it on your playlist, it'll all come flooding back. You just got to be there and just do it sober. And you don't have to, but it's just what I do. Thank you for reading my take, Emma. I hope all is well with you and your husband and your new bundle of joy. Pickle Rick 76. Thank you so much, Rick. Could not agree with you more. I love that for you. Okay, this next one's from Sandrine from Montreal. It says, "Hi, Rave Culture Cast crew. I very much go to raves sober. Not 100%, but I thought I'd share my experience on why I do it. So I did EDC Vegas 2 times sober and Ultra Miami 3 times sober, just to name the biggest festivals. And that sounds crazy to some people. The very main reason why I don't take drugs at festivals is because I am coming from Canada to these events. I don't know who to buy from, and I don't want to take the risk of buying something nasty or looking for drugs in a new city. It feels like a waste of time when I'm traveling. I don't want to buy a testing kit for this, and I don't want to end up in the hospital with an expensive bill and my insurance won't cover. This might sound dramatic, but I don't believe that these things only happen to other people. I went pretty crazy in my early 20s with substance use at raves, and I had to stop completely at some point for my mental health. I feel like doing that connected me more to why I love going to these events. It made me realize that I don't need alcohol to come out of my shell and connect with people. Oh, and of course, the memories. This is a game changer. You remember your experience so much more when you don't go to these events sober. When you go to these events sober. I hope this was useful. Can't wait to hear the podcast episode. Thank you, Sandrine. That's just like a great point to make. Like for some of you guys traveling, whether it be locally or internationally, and you just don't want to risk serious things. You don't want to risk getting in trouble, getting arrested, ending up in the hospital. Like these are all very real risks that come anytime you're doing these things. Buying off of a complete stranger at a festival, never a good fucking idea. Also undercover cops around, like with everything like floating around in the drug scene, it's just very scary right now. So I completely agree, and being safe is the best way to go with that. Okay, quick break here again for another partner, you guys. So this next one is from One and Only, and this is a really amazing one. If you are attending EDC Las Vegas, listen up. This is a brand new experience that's coming for next year that I want to share some information on. So this is a resort and shuttle takeover presented by One and Only Entertainment and Groove Cruise. So they are taking over an entire resort, the Serene Hotel in Las Vegas. It's a little bit behind the MGM Grand, if you guys know where that is, over by the airport. It includes everything in your package from your room. So there's different suites available. Weekend shuttles to and from EDC with unlimited alcohol. So your pregame is done. You don't have to worry about trying to get the EDC shuttle passes. It will come included with your package, and you're getting free booze on the way. Day parties are included. They have their own lineup with shows every single day. Sage Armstrong is playing. That's one of the acts. They also have a kickoff party on Thursday night. They've got a vendor village that's going to be there. Like literally all of this is included in this resort takeover. It's just ravers. They are taking over the entire hotel. So you get to meet other ravers there. So if you're going solo and you want to meet other people, you can sign up and they can pair you with random roommates if you're open to that. But if you guys book with my code EmmaK, that will let them know that I sent you there. So again, EmmaK, that will help track that I sent you guys. I will link everything down below. It's on One and Only's website, so you guys can check that out. Rooms are officially open for booking. Definitely think this is a great idea, especially for you guys who are worried about like, where am I going to stay? How am I going to get there? This handles all of your accommodations, travel, drinks, all in one. So just wanted to mention that because that is brand new this year. And I thought that was an amazing experience when they came to me. So that is that. Okay, let's wrap up with your last few submissions here, you guys. So this one is from Evan. Oh, this email was incredible, you guys. I have to like plug this guy. He was amazing. So he goes by the Party Coach and he's a sober raver. So he goes, Emma, I saw your request for sober ravers, love the podcast, and so interested to hear what others say, but I wanted to share one aspect of my experience. Something I've noticed that happens a lot to those of us who rave sober is people at shows or festivals come up to us and ask, what are you on? Can I get some? This is when I was using mostly Coke and Molly. I would never get asked this, but now I get asked this all the time. I have a few theories about this, but he made this amazing video after he went to Burning Man sober, you guys, which is incredible. I'll link it. He says, I think this describes the feeling pretty well. One thing you learn in sobriety is there is no escaping the present moment. While others are chasing a high, we get to receive every emotion as they flood our senses. And whether it's anxiety or connection, excitement or loneliness, every experience is a surrender to a world we can't control. And when we're able to accept things exactly as they are, that is heaven. Thanks for keeping the rave alive. That's from Evan Cudworth, the Party Coach. Check him out on Instagram, guys. He's awesome. All right, this next one. I want to share my journey with you. I have been raving substance-free. I love it because I'm able to rave solo and have my wits about me. Also, being a solo female at a rave and being substance-free are two things that are extremely rare, but I would like to shout out Corporate Raver and Electric Ollie for giving me the courage to do it. Yes, we love those ladies. As a female raver, to feel safe and alert, you must, and I highly recommend being substance-free. Being substance-free allows you to remember every set, feel every moment, and be more present in the moment. I believe if you can be sober and be there amongst the chaos, you are a true raver. You don't need much to be happy because you are there just for the music. You love the music, so you want to experience it organically. Most people I know who are getting into raving or just going to get trashed aren't people who are generally there for the love of music. People often ask me at raves why, and my best response is that I want to remember this set and I want to relive it if I hear the music again. It's impacted my experience in the most positive way. I've also taken the time to get in shape for raves 3 to 4 days straight. Last year at this time, I was training for Tomorrowland, Belgium. I've kept up with the training since, and as I'm getting older, I have to be in shape to prepare my body for the physical exertion you put it through walking, standing, and dancing for hours on end. Thanks for having a platform to share my story. I would love to be featured. Thank you, Kylie at Young Las Vegas. Keep it fucking going. Love it. Krista Lynn, it says, sober raver. Why? You don't get horribly sick after every event, aren't doing damage to your body and mind. You get to make proper decisions and aren't doing damage control after every event. Just so many reasons. And to boot, you still get to act as weird as imaginable without judgment, because most of us assume you're on something even if you're not. So taking advantage of that is super fun. Flop down, make dirt angels, people will join you, climb a tree, throw popcorn down. If someone catches a Pete and eats it, reward them with tossing them a ring pop, act as if you were stuck in slow motion, and watch others do double takes. Doing dumb stuff on purpose. It is pure joy and we all seek it. Don't feel as if we are allowed to act out, but at festivals and events, there is all the social latitude possible. Take advantage of it and feel the joy. Love that. Yeah, that's another thing that has been mentioned here a lot. People don't know. So if you're like nervous about the judgment of being sober, no one gives a shit or notices. You know what I mean? And the people who would turn to you and ask, are you sober, and then judge you for it, fuck them. You don't need them, and they're not there for the right reasons anyway. If anyone were to say that to you, they're not your friend. You don't need them in your circle. Run as fast as you can in the other direction. Like, no one should be saying that to you. It's a sign of immaturity, 1000%, point blank period. You can be as sober as you want, having a great fucking time, acting way weirder than people on drugs. So enjoy yourself, live your truth, have so much fun, do the activities, dance however the fuck you want to dance. Like, no one's going to care. And again, like, people might assume you're under an influence or under a substance anyway, and you're not. So doesn't matter. Enjoy yourself being sober. I had to just drop that. Okay. It's been a while since I've read so many emails, you guys. I'm like, whew, I'm out of breath here. Okay, this one says, hi there, my name is Jana Taylor Smith, and I've been dancing at music festivals for 7 years, and I have been alcohol-free for the last 3 of them. If you do the math on that, I haven't always been a sober raver, and to be completely honest, I'm not 100% sober, substance-free. I've removed alcohol from my life, but I actively participate in other party favors like weed and psychedelics, and I try my best to really limit the use of MDMA. Not drinking has definitely changed my entire perspective on substances as a whole, and it has given me a new outlook on music festivals. As someone who does not drink alcohol, I've become hyper aware of the ratio of free water stations to bars, which hardly ever have no alcohol options. I rarely make it to the afters, but when it's the right artist, I do. I've learned to truly prioritize my time at music festivals. So many of my friends still drink and party pretty hard, which makes pre-gaming before a concert sometimes difficult, but it has made me realize how much time gets wasted, no pun intended, on trying to get the most drunk possible before getting to a venue. But I've learned some tricks and have a lovely support system around to help me with the hard times, making them easier. Jana, that's amazing. And again, everybody's definition of sober is different, and whatever works for you. But I will say, we dove into this on the Shambhala episode. If you guys haven't seen that, Shambhala is a alcohol-free music festival and very big on psychedelics. And I think that's like something interesting to dive into in another episode. But I've watched videos that have like spoken to cops, and they say the incidents that they have at the festival are like non-existent. And the number one issue is alcohol at other events. Like, and I kind of totally feel the same. I don't think in a lot of instances like psychedelics are the issue unless somebody like way overdoes it. I do agree that I feel like alcohol is like a huge problem. It's, I think, why people get in fights, or if there's like heavy issues. I forget which, it was one of the festivals in SoCal. I forget which one it was. It might have been Day Trip. There were like so many people fighting, and I feel like the reason of that is because it was primarily a day festival in the heat, and they have like those huge fishbowl drinks. People are getting shit-faced. So I feel like there's a direct correlation with alcohol and like violence at events. So even if you're just sober from alcohol, I feel like that could make like a huge difference in your festival experience. So I just want to throw that out there because we didn't touch on that too much yet. But thank you so much for writing in. Okay, I think there's 2 submissions left. Okay, this one is from Paul. It says, hi, Emma. I saw your post on Sober Raving, and I wanted to share my 2 cents. I just turned 54 and quit drinking this year. I also quit puffing herb for the most part and don't do anything else. For the past 4 to 5 months, I have been going to the gym and doing yoga, which has improved my mental health, and I'm a nicer, more balanced person because of that. I can dance much better with more endurance, and I'm fully in my body at shows. It still feels unique to me at this point. I also remember the conversations with people more, and I love being fully present in a party space. You can tell who the sober ravers are because they drink non-alcoholic beer, and it feels like its own subgroup of party goers. There are usually seasoned pros who have given it up for a variety of reasons, and every person I asked about it freely shared their experience with me. So if you ever thought about taking a break, just ask around. There are more of us than you would think. Love the podcast too, and if you ever had... And I never had the inclination to write until I saw this topic in Facebook, which I rarely use. Glad you're covering it. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for being a part of the Facebook group. And great point. I love that idea of just kind of like asking people around you and seeing, because there probably are way more fucking sober people than you think there are around you. Okay, our last submission. Hi, I love your show, and I think this is such a great question. Thank you. Okay, when I started going to shows and festivals, I was not sober. A little over 5 years ago, I decided to start my sober journey. A lot of factors contributed to this decision, but the point is that I'm able to say I can go to a show or festival without substances or alcohol. It's been a game changer. It's the best feeling to walk away from the weekend and remember sets or memories with my friends. At first, just like anything, it was difficult, and I'm thankful I have friends who didn't pressure me or make me feel left out because of my choice to stay sober, but eventually it got easier. I started to see the beauty in it and truly embrace it. I believe my music taste has expanded and I've been able to see more artists and be fully present. It's a totally different experience when I first started. My reason to go in the first place was that the music was my escape, but over time that has changed. I got used to the substances being my escape and I lost sight of why I went or enjoyed it in the first place. My boyfriend is also a DJ, and that experience wouldn't be the same if I didn't remember it or be present to see him live, live his dream. Through him, I've been able to meet and connect with other artists, and I think if I wasn't sober during those experiences, it wouldn't have been as special. I'll never miss saying, what happened? What set did we see? I don't remember that. Overall, for anyone thinking of going to a show sober or feel like others will judge you if you do, we're in a great community, and if you surround yourself with the right people, they'll love you and support you. After 5 years being sober, I know I wouldn't trade what I have now for blacking out and being detached or addicted for the wrong high. It's about the music and being fully present and escaping this world for a little bit. Thank you, Emma. You truly inspire me. Lake. Beautifully written, and congrats on being 5 years sober. That's amazing as well. One thing I just noticed as we wrap up this episode, I feel like the word used the most in all of these was present. That seems to be the common thread through all of this theme around sober raving is presence. You guys and myself, I agree. Raving sober just allows you to be fully in the moment with a clear mind and a clear heart. You have pure intentions for being there. You're enjoying the music, remembering conversations, and feeling the effects of everything without having any substances in the way. So presence is definitely the theme of sober raving here. And I think that's a beautiful way to put it, because I've always said that the reason I love raving and going to festivals is because I feel fully present. And that's actually like funny now that I think about it, because it took me being pregnant to be fully sober from anything. And I felt the most present this past year. So that's just some food for thought to think about. If you are evaluating your relationship with alcohol or other substances, or thinking about how you attend events, maybe going into the new year, think about how you want to show up for these things and if being sober would be a good way to go for you. And I think that's just something to think about at the end of this episode. So, I really enjoyed working on this. I feel like we could expand on this topic so much more, because this was like just scratching the surface, and I feel like I could definitely reach a lot more of you guys. So maybe we'll like expand on this more, or I can have some sober ravers on. I'd love to dive into this more with Aid, or have some of you guys on the podcast. So I think we need to come back to this, or even like do a meetup in person at a festival or something. I think that'd be fun. I know there are like sober camps at certain events. Like I mentioned, Shambhala is a sober event, or alcohol-free event, So yeah, I think just creating a community around this could be really, really cool. So guys, thank you so much for being here for our first episode back. We really like went in with this one. I know it was a longer episode, but I just want to reflect and say that it's an experience I would want to do again, not just being pregnant, but I'd like to challenge myself to do an event completely sober or alcohol-free. It was really amazing reading your stories. I'm very inspired by you guys who have been able to make this like a part of your lifestyle, even outside of shows. I think that's amazing. So congrats to any of you guys who have been sober now for however long. If you want to connect with us, let's wrap things up. You can find us at You can find us online at Rave Culture Cast on all of our platforms. Give us a follow. Again, check us out on Facebook, because a lot of the times I post these topics and look for your comments. You can always write in to raveculturecast@gmail.com if you guys would like. Send us your Amnesty bin rave confessions if you want to be featured in an upcoming episode. I've got a ton in store for you guys. This end of the year, we do our annual Best of EDM episode, which voting is now open for that. So if you want to cast your votes for your favorite artists, for your favorite tracks of the year, I will also link that down below along with all of our brand partners. And I think that's all I've got for you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I'm pumped as hell for season 6 of this podcast. We got a lot in store for you guys. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.